You're dialed in to Byron Velvick's Fish Tales. Real talk, real tactics, and the stories that make it all worthwhile. Here's Byron.
Hey everybody, Happy New Year 2026, and here we are, the first Fish Tales of 2026, Monday, January 5th, and you know what we thought would really be cool is let's take a look back at some of the top segments that we had, some of the shorts that we shot that really just blew it away as far as people enjoying it, the views we got and everything else like that. If you get a chance, you can go to the Livingston Lure app, download the Livingston Lure app, or check out the channel, the YouTube channel, Livingston Lure YouTube channel, the Fish Tales channel. We got 5,000 subscribers towards the end of the year, December, so we hit a first little mark there. We've only been doing it since, I think, July or August, and we've had so many great guests. It was hard to pick out the best segments, but boy, you've had some really, really good ones as far as guests, you know, responding to it, commenting. And so we thought, let's just do a kind of a 5-month year in review. We're going to do 6 guests. I'm not going to tell you who the 6 guests are. I don't want to blow the surprise, but I will tell you that the last guest, and I'm not going to say who, has had over 30,000 views on this one segment they did. So the last guest had 30,000 views. I don't know if you can guess who that is. Maybe you can, but we're going to start with one of our early guests. This guest had 9,000 views to his show, one of our very first guests, and he's going to tell a story of the one that got away. What you're going to notice is kind of a theme here. We have a thing in the show called The One That Got Away, and it doesn't have to be a fish. It can be an opportunity in fishing. It can be a contract. It could be a sponsor. It could be some cool thing that happened. And here we are with Dave Mercer. Mercer's going to be our first guest. I am not going to give away what it was, but I want to thank everybody for checking out Fish Tales. Please like, comment. Boy, more subscriptions would certainly be appreciated because we love seeing that subscription thing grow. And thank you guys, all of you that are loyal fans and watching the show. I'm so blessed to be able to do this and just talk to my friends. So we have a lot more great guests coming up for 2026. I want to thank all the sponsors, Mercury, Camus, Livingston Lures, Trika Fishing. You know, they're really supporting us, and it's just a blessing to be able to do the show and bring all these great stories to you guys. So without further ado, Dave Mercer, his story about the one that got away on Fish Tales. Happy New Year, everybody. Dave Mercer, the one that got away. It doesn't have to be a fish, but what's the Dave Mercer one that got away? And I don't care. It could be anything in the world, and you got time to stew with it. The one that got away. Fish, great. A contract, your shot at JM and Associates when you actually made Jerry McInnes upset in another universe, in another paradigm world. But what's the one that got away, Dave?
The one that screams to me is YouTube. And luckily I've been somewhat successful on YouTube, but I look back and I mean, I joined YouTube in, I think, 2008. Like, I've been on there like 17 years, whatever it is, like however long YouTube's been around. I was one of the early adapters, and we got 35,000 subscribers, and it was brand, and I was just putting content up, and it was great, you know, it was good. But then I started focusing on TV more. I started focusing on chasing Golden Moose Awards and things like that.
Wow.
And we kind of took, you know, like a lot of businesses, you can only, I mean, it's easy to say you should have kept pressure on here. But when I look back, I'm like, you spent so many years chasing stupid Golden Moose Awards that I don't even think they give them out anymore. And, you know, thinking and thinking that's the future, you know, to make this impact. And I mean, we did some really cool things and worked with some great camera folks over the years. But when I look at like what YouTube's become, and I mean, we're closing in on half of, like, we've got 500,000 subscribers almost now, and we're closing in on 500 million plays. But if I didn't take probably the most important 10 years off of freaking YouTube.
Wow. That's amazing. I never thought about that, Dave. And I was, you know, I was, to your point, I mean, we were all into television, and I laughed because I haven't heard the word Golden Moose in a long time. But that was the pinnacle. Like, you wanted the Golden Moose Award.
Bottom shelf now.
You got one? Can I see your Golden Moose?
There's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of them. I mean, we won a bunch, but they're worth absolutely nothing. I mean, we went to a wicked, like, it was cool at the time, but I just look at it and I'm like, when I look at what, like guys like the Googans did, like any of those early adapters, and that's why, I mean, timing is so important in everything. I mean, when you look at whether it's a John B or whatever, like, it's easy for people to relate to John B and be like, well, he was a genius. No, he was just a dude making fishing content, no different than you were, no different than I was. That was his option at the time. There was nobody putting him on TV. And luckily, it became a thing. But I definitely think, like, if I had got a mulligan, a mulligan for me would be to go back and say, hey, I mean, doesn't mean you have to stop chasing Golden Moose Awards. You just need to keep posting on friggin' YouTube, and to step away from it was foolish. But I've learned lessons from that. And the one lesson I know that stands true always on social media is be an early adapter. Like, be that guy that jumps on it early, because that's when it's going to grow.
And you were early. That's the thing. I had no idea. It wasn't like me who says, geez, I wish I would have. Like, I was not on YouTube at the beginning. You were in it and you pulled out of it. Instead of, like, you were at the crossroads and you made the decision I would have made too. Like, I would have made the same decision. I would have been like, television's king, television's everything. Is it NBC Sports? Is it the Outdoor Channel? ESPN doesn't want us anymore, but it's going to be television. And I would have not chased you too, but the fact you were in it and walked out, or you went right instead of left, it's crazy.
I'm looking right now. I joined May 8th, 2008. So I don't know when YouTube started, but I think YouTube officially started maybe a couple years before that. But 2008, that's when YouTube was starting to roll.
Dude, you could have been the Mr. Beast of fishing right now. That could have been you.
God.
You
I would be.
Dave Mercer would be the Mr. Beast of fishing. The Joe Rogan of fishing.
Dick. I'd be a total dick.
You'd be so rich. You would be.
I'm not doing your podcast.
Oh my gosh, untouchable Dave Mercer. Zona and Van Dam and I would be like, that Dave Mercer guy did everything right. You know, he called me one day. The superstar. Wow.
No, I think a lot of people over the years have, but it just goes to show you don't know what the future holds, and I think that's I mean, if you did know, you'd win every lottery, right? But that's definitely the one that got away. Freaking YouTube.
One that got away. That's you know what? We've just started the show, and you have set the bar very, very, very high, my friend. Dave Mercer. Oh man, had he have stuck with YouTube like he was kind of insinuating, he could have been the Mr. Beast of fishing or bigger. I mean, he was on his path to being huge because he got into YouTube when it was in its infancy. But he was chasing that Golden Moose Award. This is the trophy room here. I would have loved to have a Golden Moose from my days on Bass Center and ESPN. We all thought TV was the place to be. Zona and Mercer and I and everybody else that was doing all that outdoor programming on ESPN. We thought TV was all it, not realizing, again, like Mercer said, YouTube and social media in its infancy, you could have just rock and rolled with it. So what an interesting one that got away from Dave Mercer. Coming up next, oh man, this is really cool because it's one of my dearest, oldest friends. I had John Murray on the show. I had Skeet Reese on the show. And, Skeet Murray and I, we roomed together on tour before I retired. My last years on tour before I retired to become a full-time dad and raise my daughter who's in the other room right now. I was rooming with these guys, and Murray and I and Skeet reflected a lot on both the shows about our days on tour together. But Skeet had a one that got away. In this segment, you're actually going to see the Jim Bitter little fumble, the one that cost him the Bassmaster Classic when he catches this little fish, just this little fish, but that's all he needed to win the Bassmaster Classic. And Tim Tucker is there taking pictures. You see it in the clip. And backstory here, Bitter tragically grabs the fish, getting ready to head back to the live well, and it slips out of his hands, and there goes a Bassmaster Classic. So you're going to see the tease to that segment. Again, if you like what you're seeing on any of these segments, go back and check out the whole show. I think Skeet Reese's show had like 7,000 or 8,000 views. I'm sure that's going to climb, and it's great to go back and reminisce with these things. So without further ado, Skeet Reese, the one that got away. I have a special segment. It's called The One That Got Away. It can be a boat. I mean, it can be a tournament. It could be a fish. It could be a sponsor. It could be anything. But Skeet Reese, what's your one that got away?
The memory still haunts him. He lost by 2 ounces.
Oh, no. Ooh, wow.
Hate to put you on the spot, but it's just a fun segment on the show. And sometimes it's just a fish. Sometimes it's a tournament. You know, the John Cruz one was pretty darn close.
I mean, that was a painful one. I think, and not that I had any control over it, but I think the most impactful for me was, it was 2011, 10, 11. I had actually won the regular season points title on the Elite Series.
Yeah.
So I'd won Angler of the Year. And then the next 2 years, I actually won the points, I think 2 years after. So regular season's over. I won the points, but then they created the postseason playoff stuff.
Oh.
And
I remember that.
That was like made for, it's like what they did in NASCAR. And Kevin wound up winning the Angler of the Year title. In those 2 years, they had that. Even though and that was a year that I won 2, finished second twice, I finished 5th twice. I mean, I had, that stupid, crazy season, and I didn't win Angler of the Year. So those are the 2 most painful years they got criticized so bad for it because of what happened to me that they got rid of that postseason shootout.
Really?
So that's where I was like that. Yeah, that's the one thing that that. I mean, that's like trauma to me because I fished my heart out, fished my ass off, so theoretically I won 3 Angler of the Year titles within a 3 or 4 year span, but I only got recognized for one of them because Kevin, and it wasn't Kevin's fault.
No.
Kevin was just,
wow.
he was playing within the platform that was given.
Yeah, it was a format change. They changed the format. Yeah. So even though you went all around the country, caught them everywhere we went, you were catching them. So you're just crushing them everywhere. And then they cut it. Then all that gets stripped away because of a post.
Yeah, it started from 0.
That's ridiculous.
Yep, started from 0 and went into a postseason event. So
wow.
Yeah, those are the most painful. And not that it, would have changed my life, my career. No, but from a competitor standpoint, that's Angler of the Year to me is the ultimate title in fishing.
Yeah. And who would have known you could have gone back to back to back?
Transparency. That started and spiraled me down into my depression state that I went through, and because that was that created trauma within my life. It's like I put my heart and soul into this, and I got stripped of it because of some postseason event.
Oh man, Skeet, my heart broke for the guy when he tells us the story. He could have an Angler of the Year 3-peat. He was on a crushing roll. If it wasn't for that crazy thing at the end where they had like a playoff and a sudden death, if you will, it didn't matter if you had all those points for the whole great year. You had to win just the last playoff event or 2 or whatever. And, Van Dam got it, but Skeet, heartbreaking story. Again, Skeet's episode was really, really popular. 6,000 views at this point and still growing. What's cool about this show here is a lot of people are going to go back and probably watch the whole show after hearing these stories. And Skeet Reese there sharing about, just a heartbreaker with regards to a format change that Bassmaster implemented, which really would have cost him all those Angler of the Year titles. Fascinating story. So coming up next, and boy, this is really a great one. This is not one that got away. This is just Zona and I cutting it up. Mark Zona comes on the show, another early guest. Zona and I used to do television together. I was on his show. He did Loudmouth Bass. I did Bass Center. So Zona has a story about us at the Wynn Encore Beach Club. ICAST was going on. And back when ICAST was in Las Vegas, my friend Paulie Friedman, who was helping out doing all the nightlife for Wynn and Encore, and he was helping us out with the ICAST party that we would have at his club, the Encore Beach Club. So what you're going to hear about here is Zona. The backstory to what you're about to see is the backstory to Zona, Mark Zona and Karen going to the Encore Beach Club. You'll see the picture. I'm not going to give any more away than that. I'm going to talk my way right out of this, and I don't want to. So here's the next segment with Mark Zona. Again, thank all of you for watching Fish Tales and reminiscing with me over 2025. The great stories from the great guests. Mark Zona, not the one that got away, just a funny story of what him and Karen experienced that night at ICAST at Encore.
He's like, you don't know any bachelor. I'm like, no, I've broke bread with one of them. So.
Dude, did the story have anything to do with, I had Dave Mercer on the show, and he pulled out the picture of you, me, him, Van Dam, and Aaron Martins all at the Wynn Encore in the ICAST. He pulled out the picture. It's going to be on right here. I'm going to put it on right here early in the show. But I got the Mercer hooked me up with the Van Dam, Zona, Aaron Martins, me and you hanging out at the penthouse at the Encore Beach Club in Las Vegas, because that's where ICAST was that year. Was that the story you told?
Byron, no, I had forgot about that story. And boy, there's a few things from that story that I can go into.
No.
One of them being, I need to say this, just because obviously, look, I grew up on the south side of Chicago, but for the last 4 decades, you know where I live. I live in the middle of nowhere. Like,
right.
There is a stoplight. So what was funny was Karen, the Scorpion, was at that party. I'll never forget this at the Wynn. Is I walked. You're getting people in. You're being a great host. You're getting people, shuffling them through the barrier and the line and coordinating everything. And I went to get a cocktail, and I went in the bathroom. True story. This is a true story. At the urinal, it said no sex at the urinals. And I went, wait, I mean,
what are you missing? What?
Wait, what? Wait, oh, and dude, it had like, you know how there's a male and a female, and it had like a diagram.
No.
And I thought at first, well, hell, this is a joke. But there was like 8 of them throughout the bathroom. I'm like, hey, the only reason there's a sign there is that must go on here quite often.
And it had the circle with the line through it and the 2 little stick figures saying no copulation for the non-English speaking.
So then I went out, my naive self, I went out and I told Karen what I had just seen. And she's like, what does that mean? And I said, I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Oh my gosh. As if there's a problem.
I guess. Listen, I'm having lightning bolts. I'm thinking about things that happened that evening, because that evening went, and I'm a 10 o'clocker. That evening went really late. Like, it went all the way to my flight the next day.
Yep.
The story, Byron, the story I told my neighbor was when Bass Center and Loudmouth Bass started. You and I already knew each other. We knew each other from your regional tournaments, my regional. You kind of knew who was doing good throughout regions of the country, basically cherry pickers. That's how we started in tournaments. We went to you went to tournaments, you thought you could dominate and blah, blah, blah. So Bass Center and Loudmouth Bass starts, and it was right in the heat of your bachelorism life that was going on, right?
Yep.
And I was just not newly married, but I was, I'm 5 years into this marriage, and I'll never forget this. You're like, hey, you want to go to the bar and get some sushi or a cocktail? I'm like, well, I don't do the sushi stuff, but I said, I'll get a cocktail with. So we're sitting there and we go in this bar, and listen, I want all of your viewers and listeners to close your eyes right now. Just close your eyes. So I'm sitting at the bar with who's for me, it's just my buddy. Dude, I didn't look at you like your profile picture holding that rose. All right? I looked at you as a dork.
Your fishing buddy. Yeah.
My fishing buddy. But all of a sudden, you could tell there's a groundswell of Charlotte, North Carolina, fairly, really, really good looking chicks start to get closer and closer and closer. Close your eyes, viewers. Closer and closer and closer to the bar. And here's the first thing that went through my head. Why were you not the bachelor when I was single? Sorry, that's a self-centered one right there. And the best thing was they're all talking to you, and I'll never forget this. There's a little brunette chick, and she looks at me and she goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "Oh, I was the cast off." I said, "I made it down to like number 4 on the Bachelor show," but I said, Byron, and she goes, and she literally, this was so degrading. She goes, "Really?"
I'm still shocked that the no sex in the urinal segment hasn't like gone completely viral. It just blows me away. Zona, the ultimate storyteller. Thanks, Mark and Karen, for being such a good sport. How about that picture? Mercer got that picture over to me of Mercer and Dave Mercer, me, Aaron, Van Dam, Zona, all together at the Encore Beach Club. Thank you, Paulie, again for having us at the party. It was really a cool event. I missed the days of ICAST in Las Vegas and really a special time. So it was not the one that got away, but be sure to check out the Zona show. Again, I think he's had like 10,000 views already, Mark Zona's show, Fish Tales. So it's worth going back and checking out the whole Mark Zona show. Coming up next, the ultimate storyteller. Like this guy, I'm still thinking I need to get him on as a regular in 2026. I'm thinking bedtime stories with Bobby Barrick. And I already have it in my head. There'd be some cool elements. And Bobby agreed to it. So I'm going to touch back. If you're watching this, Bobby, I'm going to get back a hold of you. Fish Tales loves great stories. And Bobby Barrick has the ultimate one that got away. It includes Ray Scott and everything else. If you haven't seen it, I'm not going to tease any more than that because I'm going to talk myself right into the whole explanation of the show. So Bobby Barrick, the one that got away, coming up next. Again, thank you guys for joining us at Fish Tales and hope you're enjoying these segments as much as I enjoyed making them with my guests. So Bobby Barrick's up next.
Did you ever draw a D Thomas? Because I did. I drew D Thomas at the Delta. Did you ever draw a D? You remember when it used to be boat to boat, mono a mono, pro versus pro? You remember those days?
I do. I remember the worst boat-on-boat draw that I ever had was when I drew Greg Warren and he caught a 10-pounder behind me, and the first time Bassmaster ever came out. That one was mine. I knew it was going to be between me and Robert. And
Robert Lee and you, what head-to-head pro draw? Bassmaster shows up and you have to flip a coin, and you have to go out with somebody, and you guys are competing for fish in your boat.
We flipped the coin. Well, after the first day, I think I was in second or third place. And I hadn't even ran my Sherman Lake stuff, but I was starting in Disappointment Slough. I was grabbing 1 or 2 big ones, and then I'm going to go finish out with 4-pounders in Sherman Lake on that bottom, that low water. And on the low swim, the second day I had Greg Warren with me, and he goes, "Dude, I'm not even going to fight you for the boat. This is your pond. You're going to win this thing. I just want the bait you're using." And I said, "Cool." I gave him a black frog, a black snag-proof frog. And Gene Buchholz, who was running the camera boat, he came over and he said, "Hey, we're going to follow you all. Ray Scott wants us to follow you all day tomorrow." And I was like, "I ain't putting my Delta hotspots on national TV on TNN. That ain't going to happen." I said, we talk about the Delta and the beauty of the Delta. I said, "I'll tell you what, I'm going to catch a big one between 8:30 and 9 o'clock at Disappointment Slough." I said, "Why don't you meet me at the mouth of Disappointment Slough at about 8 o'clock, 8:15? We'll run over there, give me the microphone, do the thing, and then I got to be over in Sherman by 9:30. I'm going to be done in Disappointment by 9:15. Okay. I met those guys. The day before, I caught 2 5-pounders on it, one on one side, one on the other. But when I caught the 1-5, I moved Mama. Mama moved. I'm going to get her tomorrow. I mean, I was like, okay, she's a good one. Anyway. And so the next day I roll over there. They follow me over, and I'm talking to the camera guy, and I hate to show Gene how to do this. Because he's talked a lot out there in the West Delta, knew a bunch of guys and all that, and I was like, oh man, then my whole disappointment program is going to be done, which I was just starting to learn disappointment. And Robert already knew disappointment and why. He was so far ahead of the curve, and he capitalized on that so big time. Highest quality bass in the Delta in that era. And Robert had such a jump on everybody. He understood it. High tide, low tide, because he did the Byron thing, Potomac River, don't go anyplace, learn what they do on the high and the low. Anyway, so I go over there at about, I get over there about 8:30, 8:45. Get over to the island, and I'm telling them, I go, you see that island? I said, the sun's coming up. I'm directing the shot. I go, the sun's coming up over there. Why don't you get behind that right there? And I'm on this side of the island. Island's like this.
This is in the tournament. You're directing the shot in the tournament. You're telling the camera guy.
As we pull up to the island, I don't have to make a cast on this thing. I really need to be casting on this thing, from 8:30 to 9, 8:30 to 9:15. In that 45-minute window, and I think it's really going to happen 8:30 to 9. Anyway, so 8 o'clock, 8:15, right, when we hook up, boom, get over there. You guys go over there. Island's right here. I want you guys over here. I'm going to come this way. I think, and I'm having this conversation as I'm leading up to this. I said, Gene, shut your motor off. Trolling motor, please go that way. And don't get anywhere near that. I don't want them to know we're here. Just stay at least, 40 yards off that dock, please. I'm going to come down this way. I'm going to see what I can get leading up before she's right. And I'm telling these two guys, and this guy that I draw is taking notes. I tell him, I said, that big girl is under where the dock goes like this, the gangplank. She's right under the gangplank. She's about 2 yards this way. I threw under the gangplank yesterday, got the 5-pounder, drug the 5-pounder over her. Big wobble. She took off and went under the dock. Dang it. And I knew as I'm winding that one in, oh man, that was bigger than the one I got on here. Put her in live. I'll get that one tomorrow. Anyway, but it's a timing thing. I can't start on these fish. It won't go. It's that water level thing, black line, all that stuff. Get those guys where I need them. I come around the thing. I'm pitching about that far. I want to catch a couple 3-pounders so I can get comfortable, so I can grab me a couple big ones, and then I'm going to finish up with 4-pounders in Sherman. This is going to be awesome. And I get over here, and I made one. I really thought I'd get a 3 to 5-pounder on the front pace before I make this throw right here. Mm-hmm. And I get to right here, and this guy's running out of patience, I guess. And I go like this, and then I watch this frog go flying by me. And it went right under that gangplank. And I looked at him, I looked at the camera guy, and I won't tell you what Gene said. What kind of a bop, 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 beep, beep, beep. And I looked at him, I looked back over there, and he moved that frog, and she went, whoo, whoo. And I'm like, oh, she goes, oh, she clobbered. He's back there, and I'm like, what do? I've never really done this, man, mano y mano. I want to shoot this guy right now. I want to push this guy in the leg. What am I going to do? National TV's right here. This guy's got my dream fish. This is my dream tournament. This is the first time Bassmasters has ever been here. And this guy's got my fish. What do you do? Don't do stupid, Bobby.
Oh, my gosh.
I reached down. I grabbed this fish. That's a 10. I'm like, that's a 10-pounder. And I gave it to him like that. And this guy's like, he had 4 pounds yesterday. I had 17 or 18. He goes, I'm out of this thing. I just want the bait that you're using. I'll follow your lead. Yeah, he followed my lead. All right. And
which was the tournament for you, and he made a long cast over your shoulder as you're working your way up to catch a fish that you knew was there, that you were ready to catch on camera. You orchestrated the entire shot, and you got poached on the one cast.
It was horrible. And then he put that fish in the live well. He goes, I'm a player now. I was like, oh no. That dude, the rest of the day was I bumped into him so many times. I go out to Sherman Lake that afternoon, and they're these 4, they're 3.5 to 5-pounders that are in hippie grass patches that are the size of a basketball, 2 basketballs, and they're isolated, and you don't know which ones they're going to be in. But I have to drive over a sandbar that's got this much water. I got to be doing 65 over the sandbar to get into this section. And I mean, I'm going 80 yards over about that much water, hoping that my skag doesn't grab. Otherwise, we're going to be here till tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
I get into my ditch and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I did end up catching a couple of nice fish in disappointment, but this guy now is a whole new beast. I pull into my little pocket where I should be able to catch 5 for 20 without a 5 to go with my 4 3/4 that I have out of disappointment this morning. And this guy's right here under my armpit. But you had to throw it. You had to land right on the little hippie grass, American pondweed. Let it sit, bob the nose, work it this far, stop, and they would eat it. They ate it on the stop, on the pause every time. And this guy, he started seeing what I was doing, and I would throw it this one, he'd throw it the next one. So now I start to hustle, and I'd have those 4 or 5 pound run out there and grab it because I am so mentally hosed right now. And I'm trying to race this guy to catch my fish that I understand better than anybody on the planet. I'm having all these crazy conversations with myself like I've been having since 8:47 this morning. And I'm like, what is going on? Anyway, I get back. It's a disaster. I think he got one or two of those 4-pounders. I get back and I'm standing at the weigh-in table, at the weigh-in tub, and Ray Scott comes over to me, and he holds his hand over the microphone. He goes, Bobby, he's got that cowboy hat on. He's got a little scarf. And he looked at me like somebody had just died. You know, Ray Scott. And he goes, Bobby, I heard what happened to you today. Cameraman pulled me off the side and told me. He goes, man, that was some bush league stuff right there, boy. But it's going to make for some great TV. No.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Fish Tales. Appreciate you checking us out. Also, check out the Livingston Lure app if you get a chance. All kinds of great information on there. And be sure to subscribe and to like Fish Tales. Back to the show. How about Ray Scott? That's going to make for some great television. Oh, man, I was around for that tournament. I actually fished that event with Bobby and Robert Lee, one of my dear friends, Robert Lee, the king of the Delta at that time. So many great stories. I need to get Robert Lee on this show. You know, that's, as I'm sitting here even thinking about it, there's just so many friends of mine that would be fantastic guests and tell such great stories. And Robert Lee really did have his pulse on the Disappointment Slough area, the Delta, and he won every Bassmaster event that they had out there. I think Bassmaster went to the Delta 3 times. Robert Lee won all 3, but there was the chance right there for Bobby Barrick to win it, and talk about a story with that 10-pounder getting poached out of the back seat. So that was truly one of the ultimate one that got away fish stories. Coming up next, oh, man, this was my first guest on the show, a mentor of mine, an inspiration of mine, a guy that I drew in college at the U.S. Open back when I was a kid before I ever won a U.S. Open. I was just a kid saving up my money in college, and I got lucky enough to draw Rick Clunn, pro draw Rick Clunn, and I'm just a college kid. That's all in the story. That's all in the show. You got to check it out. Again, well over 10,000 views for my very first guest on Fish Tales, Rick Clunn, who now with Livingston Lures, we have a segment every single month where Rick Clunn does In the Mind of the Master with Rick Clunn, where he tells more stories. And he also talks about baits that are prevalent and applicable to the time of year that we're talking. So every month we have a segment with Rick Clunn, sponsored by Livingston Lures, In the Mind of the Master. So we're getting to talk to Rick every single month, and it's great to hear some of the baits he'd be throwing right now, some of the things he'd be fishing if the water isn't frozen. I know we're in the dead of winter, so all of you up north, I don't think he talks about cutting a hole in the ice and fishing below. But anyway, I'm going to keep talking and talking and talking. I need to stop. So this is Rick Clunn's One That Got Away, and it's really going to surprise you. And hopefully you'll go back and check out his whole show if you like. Again, like, subscribe, comment. Glad you guys are enjoying this. I'm just enjoying doing this. So next up, my dear friend, mentor, a real important person in my life, Rick Clunn. It's the one that got away.
Oh, I can think of 3 real quick. But this one you will relate to is I wasn't a very good businessman. Do you remember the first time at the Open I was wearing Tevas?
Tevas. Oh, the Holy Rollers. You wore the
Yeah,
Jesus sandals.
yeah,
You wore
yeah,
Jesus sandals. Yeah.
yeah. And the
I
only
wore them
place
because of you.
right, the only place they existed at that time was the guides that guided the full length of the Grand Canyon. And I booked a trip with me and my family, the full length of the Grand Canyon, 7 days. And I saw these shoes they had on. And, we used to wear tongs and stuff like that, but you step off in the mud, you'd lose them. And this one had the straps, wow, that's neat. So I bought the Tevas, then you bought them, then another guy's bought them. And all of a sudden, they went mainstream due to fishermen. And I never thought about going to the company and saying, "Hey, dude, can I get a little bit of that?" And now everybody on the planet has a Teva. So that was a big one that got away. But I'm going to give you another one where it was probably bigger. And that is, most people don't know this trivia, but Abu Garcia, after I won in 77, had me come to New York, and they made the finest fishing reel on the planet, made in Sweden. And it was 5,500 Cs and 5,000 Cs. And they said, "How can we prove our reel?" And my brain went, "That's the best reel ever made." But then I said, "Wait a minute." Back then they had the little metal button that you had to disengage the reel up here, so you had to reach another handle to disengage it, and then you cast it.
Push the little metal button.
Yeah. I said, "Why
right
can't
here,
you?"
push that.
Yeah, I said, "Why can't you put a thumb bar right here on this?" And I said, "We can
You
do
told
that."
that to who?
Abu Garcia.
You told them about the idea of putting a thumb bar on?
Yeah, I said, "Let's put the thumb bar," and they said, "We can do that." And they came with it, and nobody else had it, and now every reel on the planet has it.
So
And
it
they
used to be,
didn't.
I used to have to
They
reach
didn't.
over and push the button. I
Yeah,
remember
right.
that. Yeah, this was what you did.
And I didn't think about patenting it. They didn't either. But every reel on the planet has one in freshwater now. Casting reel. So those two got away.
See, these are great. These are
Yeah.
great questions. I did not know that. And when I wore Tevas, we had Teva tans. You remember the funny
Oh
tan you
yeah,
have on your foot?
absolutely.
And it even
Yeah.
had there was a little spot where even that would get dark. There'd be two
Right.
straps and a tan spot. And
Right.
everybody would laugh at your feet. They're like, "What's wrong with your feet?" Because you have these zebra-looking feet with a dark spot and then a dark strip there and a white strip there. And it was like, "Oh, those are just my Teva tans, man. I just got a Teva tan foot all summer long. We had Teva tans." Those are two great stories. Rick?
Clunn, Tevas, and thumb bars on the reels. I kept referring to this right here because this was the perfect example. You push the button and you cast. You saw me doing it in that segment, but glad I had that old reel right here. This one didn't even have the thumb or the push button on it. But Rick, man, this was a lot. This was a lot of fun just reminiscing with Rick. And this is it. We're down to the final one. The guest that had over now 30,000 views on this particular segment. Truly the most heartfelt moment in the history of Fish Tales to date. I realize we're young, but this was so touching. Man, I can see why this thing went crazy, because watching it after we did it, I'm like, whoa, to see Bill dance, still get emotional. I'm probably spoiling it here, but hopefully you're one of the 30,000 people that saw it. If you're not, go back and check out Bill Dance episode 1, Bill Dance episode 2. We also did that with Gary Klein, episode 1, episode 2. So some of the guests, the stories are just so great, and they have so much to say, and it just runs so long that you're like, man, we just got to make this a 2-part because it's just too good to let it go to one show or try to edit it down. I like adding the pictures. We started adding a lot more pictures into it. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's probably great that you're seeing all the pictures. Again, I know a lot of people on podcast do Spotify and Apple and streaming, and they listen to it. But if you get a chance, go back and just watch some of these shows on YouTube, because I'm getting a kick out of adding all the elements. In this particular show with Bill Dance, I really wanted to add a lot of picture elements to it. But without further ado, the number 6 most watched by far short segment that we did. And again, his shows were doing 6,000-7,000 views. This particular segment went over 30,000 views, like I said. And so without further ado, like I said, this is it. The number 1 so far. It's going to be hard to beat in 2026, but the number 1 most watched, well-received segment, A Heartfelt Moment with Bill Dance.
This was a classic, Bassmaster Classic tournament. So we could only carry 10 pounds of tackle with us. Well, you think about you going to a tournament, 10 pounds isn't anything. 10 pounds is a lot of stuff.
Right.
But I remember throwing 3 packages, and why I did it, I don't even know. I threw 3 packages of Bill Jackson's 6-inch purple and white dot floating worms. I know you've seen them. And in the tackle box. And when I got to that, running that point out, I said, it looks like fish at 32 foot. And so I spun around and I rigged it, South Carolina rig. And I threw it, went down, just moved it along, whoop, and I caught one. I went, threw it right back. It went down about 32 foot. I just pulled it, just reeled it real slow, kind of bumping it over stuff. And then, boop, one hit it, the line went cold. I caught him. I dummied the worm, and I threw back 3 more times and had 3 more hits. They just pulled the worm. And so now I've got a pack of 3. I've got 2 packs of 3 and 1 pack of 2. I let, like a dummy, I let him pull the worm off the hook. So Charlie Searcy from the Nashville, Tennessean, was the outdoor editor. He was my partner. And then Charlie moved on and started writing for the Chattanooga Times. And I pulled up on that point the day of the tournament. And I threw out there in 32 foot, pulled nothing. Fanned it a little bit, nothing. And I said, doggone it. I bet those fish went out over the channel and suspended. Well, I just turned and I threw out deeper, 38 foot, and boop, I caught one. I caught another one, and I caught another one. From 38 to 42 feet, that's where they were. They just moved down a little bit deeper. The limit, I may have been 10, and I caught my limit, and off that spot. So the second day, I went back, and they had moved to 48 foot, 46 to 48 foot. And I couldn't figure out why they would keep going deeper and deeper. But I didn't care as long as I was catching them.
Right.
I was down, I was down to 4 floating worms the last day of the tournament. And Charlie smoked cigarettes. And I'd get a worm, and he'd be kind of gnawed up, where they gnawed on it. And Charlie'd get his cigarette lighter and go, ouch, ow, it's hot. And he'd blow it and stick it down in the water, and he'd shape it. He says, I think that looks pretty good, don't you? And it kind of looked like the worm had polio. It was all wadded up, kind of big worm. And I wasn't complaining. So the last day of the tournament, American Sportsman was shooting that show, and it was sponsored by Miller Beer. And it was a big, big event. And I had caught my limit the first day and the second day, and no one else had caught a limit. So I felt real good. So I went back to my spot, and my right hand pointing up to heaven, they went to 52 feet. Those fish, they moved 18 feet in the course of 3 days, or maybe 20 feet in the course of 3 days. They kept going down. Well, the water was going up, the levels. I don't know if they had I don't know if Clark Hill had a hydroelectric dam or not, but something drove them deeper. And I threw out deep, boom, boom, boom. Well, I was catching them. I never caught a big one. I caught some 3s and some 2.5s, which are good sized fish for a tournament. And the American Sportsman, Kurt Gowdy, photographer Bruce Buckley, and I don't remember who was running the camera boat. Lee Wolf was in that boat. I don't know if you remember Lee Wolf, one of the old timers, and Joan Wolf. Anyway, they pulled up. How you doing? And I said, well, we're just working on a limit. And I said, well, and I set the hook. I said, and then when and I said, I looked at Charlie. Charlie said, that's a good fish. I said, I know it is. And I just took my time, and I got it up, and it went, and it jumped about that high out of the water. And then went, missed that jump. Stupid me. I knew better. I knew better. I had the fish right to the boat, getting ready to get him. And Buckley said, let him swim back out just a little bit and see if we can get him to jump again.
Oh my
And Charlie
gosh!
went,
During the tournament,
like an idiot. Yeah, it was a winning fish, and I let him go out a little bit. He kind of wallered on the water, and the hook came out, and he went down. And they said he weighed 8.5 pounds. He didn't. He weighed about 5. To make it the drama, and Bill lost an 8.5 pound bass. So I did. He was about a 5-pounder. So anyway, I kept on. I got my limit, and I kept thinking about that big fish. I said, and Charlie says, "You heard me go." When he said, "Let him jump again," I said, "I knew better to do that. I don't know why I did it, Charlie." So I go in. And I was in first place. And everybody was saying, congratulations, congratulations. Well, Rayo Breckenridge was coming down the lake. I'd weighed in, and there wasn't but about a couple of boats left. Roland was one, and Rayo was the other. Well, Rayo broke down about a quarter of a mile from the weigh-in. Well, Roland got hooked up, and he pulled him in. And fast forward, Rayo came in. I loved Rayo. He was a great guy. We fished a lot together. He just lived up the road here at Beach Grove, Arkansas. But he won the tournament. And he beat me, I think, by about a pound and a half. And Diane, my wife, in there. And she always said, everything happens for a reason. I'll never forget that. She always said, everything happens for a reason. Well, I was standing there, knew I had it won. And when Rayo, I tried to keep a smile, but I was crying behind my smile, I guess. I wasn't really, but I just went, gosh. And she walked over. She got my hand. She said, look at me. She said, you remember me telling you everything happens for a reason? And I said, yeah. She said, well, I'm going to tell you something you don't know. Rayo is a farmer, and he's had 2 bad years. Price on cotton, price on beans, corn had fluctuated and was extremely low priced a bushel. So and then the following year was another bad year. And she said, what you don't know, Marilyn is going blind. That's his wife. And I said, really? I didn't know that. And she told Diane, girls all got together, She said, I know you won't be able to win this tournament, but I sure hope Rayo wins it because we need the money for our operation. And when Diane told me that, I said, that feeling, that deep, gnawing feeling, just left. And I walked back over to Rayo. I said, a while ago, I wanted to hit you right in the face. And he laughed, but
because you beat me,
I gave him a big hug. Then I went over, I hugged Marilyn, and she said, Bill, thank you for not winning this tournament. And so I walked back over to Diane. And she said, remember, everything happens for a reason. And that's the way it turned out. I wasn't supposed to catch that fish.
Wow. That would have won you the tournament, and it would have cost Rayo's wife. Wow. That's an amazing story, Bill. That's an amazing story. That really is.
It hurt. It was bittersweet. Yeah, it turned sweet, after, but
yeah,
that was the closest I ever came to winning a classic. I don't know. It was just, it happened for a reason.
Wow. Wow. That was an emotional piece right there with Bill Dance. You talk about something that you can tell touches him very deeply. Bill Dance never won a Bassmaster Classic. Gary Klein never won a Bassmaster Classic. Roland Martin never won a Bassmaster Classic. Gary pointed out in his show, he had 30 appearances in the Bassmaster Classic. Roland Martin, 25. Gosh, know how many Bill Dance had. You can imagine just how hard it is to win a Bassmaster Classic, everything has to go just right. And that story, you could tell it really affected Bill Dance. And I want to thank Pamela Dance for the pictures that made it so much more special. You know, adding those pictures to it. If you haven't watched part 1, part 2 with Bill Dance, please check out the shows. Bill was a special guest, and it was a special time just to share that moment with him, especially that heartfelt story. And he had so many great stories, as Bill Dance is known to do, to have great stories. But, well, that's it. That's a wrap on 2025. Those are 6 great segments that we had. So many other great guests. Please, if you get a chance, check out the other shows that we did, other segments, the other shorts. We got lots of shorts. You know, Fish Tales is just growing, and I want to thank every one of you so much from the bottom of my heart for supporting the show. I love the comments. I love the likes. The subscribers are going well. You can find me on TikTok, Real Byron Velvick, REEL. You can find me on Instagram, Real Byron Velvick, REEL, Facebook, Byron Velvick, and everywhere else, social media, because I'm just getting into this now. Like I said before, I'm coming out from under the rock of social media. My daughter Camber is helping me out with all of this. It's just a fledgling podcast, but I couldn't do it without each and every one of you. Great stories are coming. 2026. I got some amazing guests lined up. I won't even begin to tease it, but it's going to be an amazing year, an incredible year for Fish Tales. I got to thank Livingston Lures for making all this happen. Trika Fishing, Camus Boats, Mercury Outboards. Hopefully some other sponsors will come on board as well, because we're just enjoy doing the show, and again, the podcast is rocking and rolling. If you get a chance, watch it on YouTube, because I do like adding all the picture elements to it. If I look a little tired right now, I was out fishing today. There's a small little team tournament coming up at Canyon Lake, and I'm out there kind of grinding, looking for some fish. And you know, it's January, but fishing's out there, so I'm going to shoot some videos, and you know, social media people said put some content out there, so I'm going to do all that. But again, thank you, everyone of you, for checking out Fish Tales. Hope you enjoyed these segments, and thanks each and every one of our guests for being a part of the show, the first 5-6 months of the show. And with that, I'm going to say good night, goodbye, and 2026 is going to be an amazing year for the show, and I will be looking at all the comments in all the social media platforms and everywhere else. So good night, everybody. I hope you enjoy this first episode of Fish Tales 2026. Take care.
Fish Tales has been brought to you by Livingston Lures. Learn more at livingstonlures.com. Fish Tales is also supported by these fine sponsors: Trika Fishing, Mercury Outboards, and Camus Boats.